My name is Keisha Schmidt, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2011 Thailand flooding along with my partners Jocelyn, Mady, and Spencer. So let's get started. So, the 2011 Thailand flooding occurred obviously in Thailand in the year 2011, but it occurred from July 2011 to about mid January 2012, and it lasted approximately 175 days. About three-quarters of Thailand were affected, and it was the worst flooding that Thailand has seen in 5 decades. It covered about 90 billion kilometers of land. There isn't an exact number as to how tall the water was, but there are sources that say about 9,885,000 millimeters of water ran off after some of the tropical storms that Thailand sadly faced. And overall, there was about 50 to 80% of above average rainfall, depending on the region. So I believe the North region saw about 50% above average rainfall, and another part of Thailand experienced about 80% above average yearly rainfall. Like I said, it was depending on the region. So, there are several reasons as to why the flooding in Thailand occurred so bad as it did. The topography and location is one of them. The location of Thailand makes Thailand very prone to heavy flooding. Another thing is weather. Um, they had an abnormal early monsoon season. Typically, monsoon season in Thailand lasts from May to October. However, here it started all the way out in March. So, as it says in the slides, and as I've said before, it was incredibly abnormal. It was during July through December when they had their peak rainfall. Thailand also had the remnants of four tropical storms hit. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, we'll go back to it. This caused about 9,885 millimeters of total of water runoff from three different reservoirs and dams. There was an insufficient upkeep of dams, which also kind of plays into what I just said. And there was deforestation and urbanization comes into play as well as a big factor as to why there was so much flooding or the severity of the flooding. Lastly, the Chao Phraya River Basin is one of the largest and most important water resources in Thailand. And once that overflows, the land around that area, the water soaks up very slowly. So once it floods, it kind of floods. When it rains, it pours. There's a flat topography. One thing to notice about the Chao Phraya is it's home to about 30% of the population, as well as the manufacturing industry, and this was the part that was hit the hardest.
Impact to the people. Globally, Thailand provides 25% of the world's rubber, rice, and computer hard drive resources. 12.8 million people were affected, with estimated damages of up to $45 billion. Japanese firms with plants in Thailand included Toyota, Honda, Hitachi, and Canon. Wages were cut for Japanese people who worked for these companies. Domestically, over 800 lives were lost, millions were displaced or homeless, and unemployment stemmed due to closure of multiple factories mentioned before. Massive amounts of illnesses or illness-related deaths ensued, and there was slow relief for the people because the government couldn't provide enough support. Impacts to the land. Over 20,000 square kilometers of farmland was damaged, and 96,833 homes were destroyed.
With temperatures now rising and we're having more severe weather events, it's definitely going to be bigger storms and more rainfall. But this was kind of a crazy event for Thailand with 3 times the amount of annual rainfall they usually get. But hopefully they've learned from their um, downfall with this, and they're working on new infrastructure projects to help mitigate if there was flooding, to help divert the water away from populated areas and stuff. So as much rain could happen, but hopefully a disaster of the same size will not. How is it now? So in 2013, there's another flood, and that also did a lot of damage, but it wasn't nearly as catastrophic as the 2011 flood. But some businesses have now built concrete barriers around their businesses and homes and stuff. And there hasn't been as much rainfall as there was in 2011. And also with the more forecast systems that they have now in Chilpraya, which will help them know if there is a flood to be more prepared to divert the water and things like that. And people also try and build away from areas where that are super prone to flooding. And these are our sources.